You know that feeling, right? When you're just stuck in a thick, disorienting mental fog. It feels like you're completely lost and you just can't see the path forward. Well, today we're going to talk about how to navigate it.
I mean, it's such a universal feeling. You're overwhelmed, you're stuck, you're just spinning your wheels with absolutely no direction. It's like you're either caught in this raging current you can't escape, or you're just staring at a massive wall you can't seem to get past.
And look, if this sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. There's actually a name for this state, the fog of cognition. And just being able to name it, to understand what it is, well, that's the very first step to finally clearing it.
Now, our guide for this whole journey comes from a pretty surprising place, the ancient I Ching. We're going to be looking at a hexagram called Meng, which basically acts like a map for navigating the unknown. And what it tells us is that this fog, this confusion, it really has two parts. You've got water below, which is all about chaos and emotional turmoil, and then a mountain above, which represents this solid, unmoving blockage in our thinking.
So here's our game plan for getting through this. First, we're going to break down those two types of confusion. Then, we'll cover the mindset you absolutely have to adopt. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty, the practical strategies for dealing with both chaos and being stuck. And finally, we'll talk about how to become your own best guide.
All right, first things first, and this is crucial. Not all fog is the same. The Meng hexagram shows us that there are actually two totally distinct dimensions to being lost, and you have to know which one you're in to find the right way out. So here's how it breaks down. On one hand, you've got disarray. That's the water state. This is pure chaos. You feel emotional, swept up like you're in a raging current. Here, the challenge is all about your behavior and emotions. But on the other hand, you've got blockage, the mountain state. This is where you feel stuck, rigid, like you're staring at a brick wall. And here, the challenge is cognitive. It's all about your thinking. So, the big question you have to ask yourself is, am I in the water or am I at the mountain?
Okay. So before we even try to step out of the fog, we need to make a kind of psychological contract with ourselves. Think of these as the fundamental rules of engagement for finding clarity.
This contract has three parts. First step, the agency principle. If you're the one suffering, you have to be the one to act. Simple as that. You have to extend your hand first. No one is coming to do it for you. Second, the intuition principle. You've got to trust your gut. Constantly second-guessing and asking the same question over and over, that's not a search for truth, it's a search for comfort. And third, the right path principle. When you're confused, the worst thing you can do is keep changing course. Pick one path and stick with it. Persevere.
So let's tackle that first state, the water zone. This is where there's high chaos and pretty much zero order. Now remember, you're not standing on the shore looking at the problem, you are in the water. Your goal right now isn't some grand vision. It's simply to find something, anything, to hold on to. Here are three really practical grips to help you survive this chaos. First, you have to initiate. In a total vacuum of order, plant one immovable stake in the ground. Create one rigid rule to anchor yourself. Something simple like listing your top 3 tasks every single morning. No excuses. Second, embrace. What if the chaos is coming from other people? Well, then you become the riverbed. You absorb their panic, their foolishness with tolerance. And third, refuse. When you feel that identity panic kicking in, that FOMO, you need to build a temptation circuit breaker. That means consciously saying no to those shiny shortcuts that look like lifelines but are actually, venomous snakes.
Okay, so you've made it through the water, you're on the shore, but now you're facing a totally new problem, the mountain zone. You're not chaotic anymore, but you are completely, totally stuck, stagnant. Your challenge is now shifted from pure survival to achieving a cognitive breakthrough.
So how do you break through this wall? Well, there are 3 key strategies. First, acknowledge. Just say the words out loud. I'm stuck. Admit your vulnerability and go ask for help. It is the fastest way to break out of your own echo chamber. Second, unlearn. Sometimes your own experience is the very thing holding you back. You need to adopt an empty cup mindset. Ask the beginner questions again. And third, strike. When ignorance has hardened into stubbornness, a wake-up strike is necessary. Now, this isn't about punishment. It's about applying a decisive consequence, like actually enforcing a deadline to shatter that blockage and defend order.
So, we've navigated the chaotic water and we've broken through this stubborn mountain. This brings us to the ultimate goal of this entire journey. See, it's not just about solving this one problem. It's about developing an internal guidance system that can handle any kind of fog you face in the future.
And I think this idea is captured perfectly in this quote. True growth is not waiting for an external savior, but awakening a teacher within yourself. This whole process, this whole framework, is really about bringing that inner teacher to life.
So what you have now is an inner toolkit. These 6 strategies are the tools your inner teacher can use. When you feel chaotic, you pull out the ruler for discipline. When other people are chaotic, you use the filter of tolerance. If you're craving a shortcut, you have the mirror to reflect on the real consequences. And when you're truly stuck, you've got the key to ask for help, the empty cup to unlearn, and finally, the thunder to break through that stubbornness.
So I'll just leave you with this final provocative question. You've done all the work. The fog is finally lifted, and the path ahead is crystal clear. So, why might the very next piece of wisdom be about learning the art of waiting? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.